You know, fellas, it's time to step away from basketball for just a moment. Earlier this week, the Boston Police Department posted a tweet. The tweet was meant to honor the Celtics' legendary Red Auerbach during Black History Month.
Black History Month you find
ridiculous.
Why?
You're going to relegate my history to a month?
Oh, come on.
What do you do with yours? Which month is White History Month? Well, come on, tell me.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Okay, which month is Jewish History Month?
There isn't one.
Oh.
Now, Auerbach, who was white, was the first NBA executive to draft a black player in 1950, and the first to put an all-African-American team on the floor in 1964, and the first to hire a black man, Bill Russell, as his head coach. The tweet was heavily criticized and then deleted, and then the Boston PD apologized. Now, earlier Tuesday at Spurs shoot-around, Coach Greg Popovich, who had been compared to Red Auerbach, was asked about the importance of celebrating Black History Month, and he didn't hold back. Take a listen.
Well, I think it's pretty obvious. The league is made up of a lot of black guys, so to honor that and understand it is pretty simplistic. How would you ignore that? But more importantly, we live in a racist country that hasn't figured it out yet, and it's always important to bring attention to it, even if it angers some people. The point is that you have to keep it in front of everybody's nose so they understand it still hadn't been taken care of, and we have a lot of work to do.
For what Rod Auerbach did, their relationship of being humans, he and Bill Russell. Bill Russell couldn't stay at hotels with his team. Bill Russell was treated certain ways and could go to Red Auerbach and say, Coach, and if I have a son and my son says, Dad, I can't stay in the same hotel with my daughter, I'd say, well, the family not staying there then, son. And so to me, the things he did in a time when it wasn't popular, as an athlete, I say thank you to Bill Russell, Kareem, others that came before me, but I definitely say thank you to those that were the forerunners of giving opportunities to those that maybe didn't look like them.
Yeah, it's we can't tell all story in a silo. I mean, we have had help in terms of, success in this society. And a lot of times what happens is we are limited to a certain amount of space to tell our story. But there's a full history of us. And I'll start with Popovich because he made the statement that it's a racist country, right? And in order for this to be a racist country, you have to believe in the social construct of race. Race is not a biological construct. I mean, it's not biological, it's social and cultural. And Greg Popovich and Red Auerbach, as men, did not buy into the construct of race.
And you run around talking about prejudice, a fiction. That's why they're able to enforce color law, because we've been colored. And colored means fake, frauds, phonies. Don't want the truth because it's too stern. Don't want to correct nothing because it violates my belief in God right now. Full of crap.
They looked at all of us as human beings. And when we deal from a human standpoint, not from a racial standpoint, but just from a human standpoint, then we are all equal. There's no black, there's no white. Race is a social construct. It's not biological. W.E.B. Du Bois, who's an historian, race is a social construct, right? Michael Omi, Howard Winnett, my teachers at UC Berkeley, who wrote the book Racial Formations in the USA, said race is a social construct. And for those who choose not to opt into the construct of the social norms of America that we live in, right? If you choose not to participate in the construct, then you have the choice to view and treat each other as human beings. And that's what Red and Pop are talking about, and that's what they're doing. They're looking at all of us as human beings, not through the lens of race. And you have a choice, because again, it is a construct in America. It's not biological. And you know what? I think we also need to put Red Auerbach in context in terms of what he and Bill Russell did during their period of time in the 60s, okay? So JFK was assassinated in 1963, Malcolm X in 1965. Listen to what I'm getting ready to say. In 1966, Red Auerbach stood up and said, Bill Russell will be the player coach of the Boston Celtics in 1966, okay?
I don't care who like it.
Again, 68, Kennedy's assassinated, 69, Fred Hampton's assassinated, and in 1974, that's when we started integrating public schools in the United States, and particularly in Boston. Think about that. So Red Auerbach and Bill Russell are tied at the hip together in history. So you can't honor Bill Russell without honoring Red Auerbach for what he stood for in the 60s in this country. And that's why sports, that's why society follows sport. Sport doesn't follow society, because in sport, we do look at each other as equals and as human beings, except for when they're talking about hiring people in management.
All right. The Rooney Rule still don't come through yet. I mean,
but on the playing field, it's about who we as human beings, who can help us win, right? And that's what Red Auerbach and Bill Russell stood for. Now, when they walked outside of the arena, then they had to make the choice, do they accept the construct, again, of race? And if you accept the construct of race, then on top of that, you are allowed to have racism when you accept the construct of race. But if we all are human beings, then we can't have racism or racist. Can I just end with this one thing? These four brothers sitting here, we didn't all come from Africa. And there was a there was a country before 1492, and our history goes way beyond 1492. So you can't start us at 1492. We were always here.
They used the brand blacks to take you out of the human family, so they have you under what is known as wardship status. This is why you have to understand you're Aboriginal. And you go with a national name, and you go in the law library, look that up, and it'll give you the parameters. You can take that back to your students, and you can use it.